I'm live. Okay. Hello to everybody. That. Let me do this. There we go. Annie, you are on.
Hello. Okay, I'm going to try and connect my YouTube account to this StreamYard thing so I don't have to be in two places. We'll see if it works.
Okay.
Okay. If I get kicked out, I'll come back.
Okay.
I'll wait till you start talking and I'm off camera, and then that way if I get kicked off,
Then
whenever you're done talking, you'll be like, where'd you go?
Okay. There we go. Okay, I was waiting to see some peeps. Now I can see that there's peeps.
We've got people on both sides of the pond this morning. We've got new folks already. It's
Wow.
exciting. Yeah. And I'm at my brother's house, so instead of a UR mug, I have a William and Mary mug.
Oh, that's appropriate. This
But
is
in Williamsburg, you know. It was also the biggest mug in the house, so.
Excellent. Oh, I guess I need this here. I realized this morning, Annie, that I had the one thing I had not done is say, Annie, are you going to be able to do this?
The day so, I'm turning 60 today, so my family's plotting against me.
It's your birthday.
But I told them, whatever you do, it has to start after 11:30. Yeah, we're having a party up at my sister's in Powhatan.
I didn't realize it was today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yay. Okay. People are, this is good. I guess I should do this. Okay. I'm not fully awake, but I'm here. I will be.
We all feel that way today.
It could be. It could be.
Yeah. You've got your mug adequately covered.
Yes, indeed. Last minute, covering the mug.
And I hear you're getting snow. Somebody in the chat this morning said New York's about to get snow.
That's what I read this morning when I woke up. That it might be substantial snow.
Yeah.
Tonight until tomorrow, which would be fun because I don't have to go anywhere.
Well, so, it feels like spring break here for Christmas. It was very odd. Like we took a walk yesterday with no jacket, no gloves. It was.
Yeah, that's not here. It's pretty chilly here.
So I would like a white Christmas. I always like a white Christmas. But.
I wouldn't, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I am on Monday. I'm flying. So whatever it does, it would be good if it got it done in the next day or two. So
yeah, you're going out to see your folks, right?
I am indeed going out to the West Coast. So yeah. Jennifer says in Connecticut, it would be going by 6, like gone or like starting.
Probably. Yeah,
I thought
by the time you have to fly, they'll be plowed out. You guys have great snow removal.
That's true.
Yeah, unlike us, so if it's one flake, they cancel school for a week.
I remember that. But like, actually that's like LA when it rains.
Yeah. Carol Lee acts like,
no, it's raining.
No, it's a flake.
70 in Arkansas. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was 80 yesterday. Yeah. My friend in Arkansas said it was 80 on Christmas morning where she is. That's nuts.
That's just not good, I think, personally.
No. Especially if you got your kid a sled for Christmas.
Now that's weird. Someone says the phone has both, but the iPad says waiting. I don't know why it would say waiting.
Try refreshing your browser. That might work.
Yeah. Although yesterday I set all this up, and then apparently it announced to some people that I was going on last night at 7:20, and I got sent someone, I guess, emailed me and said, you got people waiting.
Waiting a while.
Yeah, that was not on purpose. So anyway, so I will admittedly say I'm still like, things happen and I don't know why they happen. And I don't know what I did yesterday that made that happen, but I greatly appreciate the fact that that people appeared, like poof appeared. It was like my little Christmas present. Oh, people are still there.
Got some people hanging out.
Oh, I know. We'll give it a few more minutes and then we can begin.
Oh, good.
Okay, so Beyond All Measure was waiting last night. Okay, maybe it wasn't me because I didn't know what the heck I did. I wasn't literally till I got an email from a very kind person said, by the way, people think you're starting at 7:20 now. And some people were like, we thought it was a little odd timing. I was like,
Yeah, just a little bit.
it is a little.
We're gonna watch you eat dinner.
Well, that's probably. I think that was when I set things up for now, but I don't know what I did. That. Regardless, we are here. It is good. Life is
figure it out.
Well, thank you, those of you who are here and who waited a little bit. I profoundly appreciate the fact that you showed up. It actually, I said to someone, like sometimes, I know you're here, Annie, and I can see like some people chatting, but sometimes it's like I am really sitting in my living room talking to a screen. And so the fact that people appeared, I was like, they're out there. People they're out.
They're here.
I'm not showing up on the laptop. No idea why things are or aren't happening. I cannot tell you. At least that's what Tim is saying. Well, we'll find out once we get going. Why it is or isn't starting somewhere, but I don't know why it would not be like starting in a normal place. Carolee alerted you. Oh. Why? Okay, I have no idea, guys.
Carolee's family had 80 people for dinner. 80.
Wow.
I mean, when I was visiting her, she has a big family, but I was like, 80 people. Wow. I think they get a world record.
Wow.
I know.
No, only 72, Carolee says. Okay.
Oh, there were 80 invited. That's right. I apologize. Okay. But 72 of 80 showed up. That's amazing.
Pax, when you say everyone's on the other site, what do you mean? Like not on YouTube? Click on the YouTube channel live. That's what I thought. You go to. Okay.
Okay. I think I've successfully linked myself into the chat. Y'all let me know if you can see it.
There's another feed on my channel that is still pending.
That's odd.
That is
the one from last night.
I don't know. This is weird. Waiting for Dr. Joanne Freeman. Yeah. Okay. I see you all here. Why are we not starting here? Oh, man. Why is this still pending? YouTube, man.
It's showing up for most people, though. I mean, they're chatting and they can all see us.
Not live, but YouTube. We aren't getting the video. Okay. Man. Okay. What other chat room? There's another chat room. Everyone leave this one and go to my channel. Oh, man. Folks, I apologize. There are 181 people here. So some people are finding
how are they getting it?
But how, right. So how are you? If you go to my YouTube channel, go to the beginning of the channel, like the front page of the channel.
Okay. I went out on my phone and it came back in and it's live on my phone. It was saying pending before. Oh. So I think if you just go out and come back in, it's working.
Everyone give that a try. Okay.
Yeah, if they leave YouTube, you have to close the app and come back in for some reason.
The app. Okay.
I wonder if the 188 are doing it on their laptop and the people on the app.
193. That's weird. Okay. I cannot tell you what magical thing to do.
Yeah, they're saying it's the app. So if you're on the app, like a phone or a tablet, you have to come back in. If you're on a laptop, you're working off a browser as opposed to an app.
I'm gonna just nod. I don't know.
Somebody said they're gonna let the other ones know. So
yeah. If you can, I don't know why. Okay, someone's on their iPad. Okay. Whatever is going on, I cannot tell you. But if you go to my YouTube channel, although when I go to my own YouTube channel, it says waiting for Dr. Joanne Freeman. That's not a good sign.
That's like a time travel movie or something.
I know. What in the
Joanne's trapped in her YouTube channel and she can't get out.
Waiting for me. Okay. Yeah, I know. Where is Benjamin Franklin to figure this out? Okay, guys. Well, whatever I did magically that somehow made this happen yesterday and not happen now, I don't know why, but I think people on their phone are getting in and people on their laptop are having a hard time.
I think no matter what device you're on, apparently if you just close it and come back in, it lets you in. So
there we go.
They said they're waiting for the after party.
Came back in. Okay.
Oh, that's so funny.
Okay, folks. Well, thank you. The waiting. Yeah, the after party, we're gonna have to figure that part out too, but we haven't even gotten there yet.
Right, right. We'll worry about that, like, when we come to that. We got an hour to figure that out.
Minutes. We'll worry about that in minutes. Okay. It's late enough that we should begin. Okay. Biding time here. Hello to everyone. And welcome to a little bit buggy, but we're here, History Matters. And really, so does coffee the day after Christmas, apparently. Thank you guys all for being here the day after Christmas. We're going to talk about some things we learned in 2025. But before we do that, I turn to my wonderful partner in crime, Annie, who will explain the rules of the game.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you, especially the day after a big holiday. It's so great to see so many people are awake and still showing up for history because it matters, right? If you're new, that's right. It always matters. If you're new to the group, we welcome you. Some people indicated this is the first time they've been able to join live, which I think is exciting. And each week we seem to find more and more new folks who want to join our community. We ask that you do keep it civil. Everybody here is welcome. Here's how it works. Joanne will talk about today's topic for about 30 minutes. And then I will come back on, and we have still not quite figured out the Q&A piece. So what we're going to ask you to do is sort of hold your questions like we did last week. That seemed to work. If you wait towards the end, right before she finishes up, and then put the capital letter QQQ, not a red question mark emoji, a QQQ, and then your question, it was easier for me to find it, just like Dave just put in the chat. Thank you, Dave. So that's how we're going to look for questions in about 30 minutes. So I'll see y'all then.
And if you folks are here for the first time, please do say so, because every week we have more and more people who are here for the first time, and you will get a rousing welcome from the History Matters community, which is really a community. So please do tell folks. We are very happy that you are here. There you go. And poof, first time. So everyone, welcome the first timers. I'm very glad you're here, particularly robust. You will get a robust, rousing and robust. I know I said rousing instead of robust, and I normally say robust. You guys, like the community, totally knows precisely what I say every week. Okay, so what I do want to talk about today is things that we learned in the last year. I do want to offer you one or two Christmas greetings from history as we get underway. Two of them that have to do with the revolution, and two of them that have to do with children or grandchildren. And then we will beam in to the topic at hand. But I couldn't resist offering you some history Christmas moments. Okay. This one is, this just is one you don't expect coming up on Christmas. So this is from George Washington to one of his officers in December of 1776, December 23rd to be precise. And he says to this person, "Dear sir, the bearer is sent down to know whether your plan was attempted last night, and if not, to inform you that Christmas Day at night," okay, Washington needed a little help there. "Christmas Day at night, 1 hour before day, is the time fixed upon for our attempt on Trenton. For heaven's sake, keep this to yourself." Okay, top secret. We're attacking, but don't tell. Thank you, George. It's really good advice there. Actually, I'll pass the other war one over because there's a really good one from Thomas Jefferson. Let me find it here. Okay, so this is Thomas Jefferson on Christmas, December 25th, 1809. And he says, Francis, who is his grandson, he says, and he's writing, I think, to Francis's father. Francis continues in perfect health and spirits. He is at this moment running about with his cousins, bawling out, "A Merry Christmas and a Christmas gift." He began a letter to you 2 days ago and had got through the second line when someone scribbled on the paper and spoiled it. Doesn't that sound like everyone's Christmas? Like the kids are running around, they're screaming. So that's Thomas Jefferson. One more I'll give you, and then we'll get on to what we learned last year. The last one I want to give you is Alexander Hamilton to his son Philip at the beginning of December 1791. And he says, "You remember, I engaged to send for you next Saturday, and I will do it unless you request me to put it off. For a promise must never be broken, and I never will make you one which I will not fulfill as far as I am able. But it has occurred to me that the Christmas holidays are near at hand, and I suppose your school will then break up for some days and give you an opportunity of coming to stay with us for a longer time than if you should come on Saturday. Will it not be best for you, therefore, to put off your journey till the holidays? But determine as you like best, and let me know what will be most pleasing to you. A good night to my darling son." Okay, that's very sweet. Okay, I needed to offer you at least a little bit of Christmas cheer, even if it's the day after Christmas. Okay, but now let's get to the topic at hand. Things we learned last year. And some of these things are going to be things that clearly we didn't necessarily need to learn, but we witnessed. Some of them are going to be things that I do think certainly we learned to some degree. The ones that we don't need to say that we learned, but that we certainly witnessed and thus saw how they would play out would be, for example, the fact that this presidency in its first year is indeed something of a wrecking ball in every possible sense of that, literally, figuratively, and any other number of ways. Not a surprise. Hardly a surprise. From the very beginning, that's what it's been. But we've been watching how that happens. That's important to know because we need to know what that is and how it happens going forward so that we can respond effectively to that. So certainly that's not something we necessarily learned, but we witnessed it. What we did learn and what we continue to learn is that whatever is going on with this presidency, what they're doing is not a done deal. That pushback can work. Doesn't always work, but it can work. And one thing that we learned is that it matters, right? So one of the things that the sort of conversations that went on over the course of this last year had to do with protest, right? Had to do with the No King's Day and things like that, and people saying it doesn't matter. Why do we do that? So great, a bunch of people go out into the street and march around. What does it do? It doesn't matter. Well, as I have argued throughout the year, and as I will say again here, it does matter, not necessarily because the people in the presidency are going to, quake in their boots at it, but how else do you get people motivated and understanding that there's a big group, in fact, a majority of people who don't like what's going on? How do you fuel movement? How do you fuel resistance? Well, in part, by showing people that there is a big group of people who are ready to resist. So one of the things that I hope we learned last year is that protest can matter in different ways. And if it doesn't have an automatic poof response, if it doesn't mean that an administration immediately says, "Oh, you know what, we're wrong, we changed our mind," that means it doesn't matter. It does. And the number of people who saw that or took part in that and then said, "Oh, I did that for the first time and now I'm prepared to do more," or, "Oh, I'm not alone locally. There are people here locally with me who agree with me." That matters. Honestly, how do you fuel something? How do you fuel a movement? How do you fuel resistance, if not by demonstrating protest? So I think that is a thing that we witnessed over the course of the last year. We learned over the course of the last year. One thing that I learned in an interesting way, and I can't say it's new, but it's not, in a sense, quite as obvious as the first two that I mentioned, and that is that federalism matters, right? It's an ism, but stick with me here, folks. Federalism matters, right? Because one of the really interesting things, and it's continuing to play out, and it will continue to play out in interesting ways, But what we're seeing is states doing things like suing the government or threatening to withhold money or joining with other states to resist in a variety of ways. What we're seeing is, in the same way that many on the right were, states' rights, that's always been a way to resist the government. Well, now, right, the tables are turned. The folks who supposedly like states' rights now have national power, and suddenly states' rights don't really matter at all. But guess what? Federalism does. And to me, this is fascinating because the reason for the, I don't want to say invention of federalism, but really for the idea of federalism being built into our political system is because the framers of the Constitution knew and assumed that national anything would be scary, right? People came from assuming that in a sense their colony and then their state is kind of their country. Like Thomas Jefferson called Virginia my country well into the 1790s, if not beyond. For that kind of a people saying, oh, guess what? There's a new national something coming down from on top would be scary. National is scary. National is not in the original Constitution. They don't talk national. They talk federal. Federal meaning divided sovereignty. So federal felt like a way in which people could buy into this new system. The downside of a federal system is that, and it's directly a product of not wanting to impose a national it on people, is that there are a lot of fuzzy definitions here. So is this something, is it a national level thing? Is it a state level thing? We've been having that argument and we'll continue to have that argument forever because that's the way the system is designed. You're supposed to have to debate that, right? That's a deliberate gray area. But what we're witnessing now, and what we witnessed actually during the first Trump presidency, is all of the interesting ways in which when the federal government does something that, among other things, is seemingly unconstitutional, that states can respond individually or, even more interestingly, together in a way that focuses on state level power as opposed to national level power. Now, this is not a new thing per se, right? If you go all the way back in time to, for example, the Alien and Sedition Acts in the late 1790s, under John Adams during his presidency, when there was a quasi-war with France, and the Alien Act gave the president the power to deport people who seemed particularly affiliated with France, French folk, if they seemed dangerous, and the Sedition Act saying that people could not attack government office holders, could not attack their character, could not insult them because that would ruin their authority at a moment when government authority was needed. So we had the Alien and Sedition Acts, which many people thought were not really necessarily, if not constitutional, certainly should not be constitutional. And then you get the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions by Madison and Jefferson, which basically said these things aren't constitutional, so we should not be following through on them, right? So that, in a sense, is an early version of some of what I'm talking about now. Oh, that we don't agree with that, not just because we don't agree with it, but it's pretty much fundamentally unconstitutional. So guess what? We are going to have some resolutions here saying that we disagree. We don't think you have to abide by this. This, of course, made people like Alexander Hamilton go berserk because it represented, resisting the government. And this is a bad thing if you think the government should be all powerful. But regardless, the idea that states can use their stateness, their state power to resist federal acts that seem unconstitutional, not a new idea, but in the modern era, seeing states come together to, for example, sue the government on behalf of laws or executive orders about denying gender care to minors or a variety of other things, and people saying, no, actually, we don't agree with that, and we're going to come together and we're going to resist together as states. This is really, in addition to potentially effective and important, also really fascinating because it's again, not new in and of itself, but in the modern era, to see states come together and resist the federal government in this way, it's experiencing federalism with a different kind of spin. And I don't think we've seen the last of ways in which states are going to come together and figure out forms of resistance, which in a sense has to happen because the administration likes to pick on blue states, threaten to deny blue states funding in a variety of ways. The Trump folk like to find ways to threaten blue states. And if the response is blue states coming together to say, okay, well, you do that to us, so here's what we can do in response, it's logical. It's also, from a political historian point of view, really fascinating. So I don't normally, as a historian, make predictions, but I see more of that to come, and I'm not even going to try and predict how that's going to happen. But I think that's a really effective, at least in theory, way to respond to an administration that likes to attack blue states. If the blue states come together and say, okay, well, you do that to us, then we do that to you, this will be an interesting thing to keep your eye on, I predict. More interesting versions of that to come. Oh, now I just peeked over, and I did not initially have in my list of things we learned, but I will add it in, not a cheery one. I just see someone mentioned media. One thing that I guess I can say we learned over the course of this last year is the degree to which people in a variety of different, I want to say media, all kinds of people will basically just bow the knee to people who they know are doing something wrong, right? Sadly, what we saw over the course of this last year was people in media, some people in Congress, all kinds of people just basically like, okay, well, whatever you want, and we're not going to resist. Again, I don't think necessarily that was like a shocking new revelation on the one hand. On the other hand, the degree to which it happened, some of the media outlets that immediately kowtowed that way and continue to, CBS, things that are ongoing, that are happening, in which people are just saying, okay, you, the president and the president's folk don't want this to happen, so we'll just make it not happen because you don't want it to happen. That's a problem. And the degree to which we're seeing that can be profoundly disheartening. And even though it's predictable at this point, still on a certain level shocking, we learned the degree to which people will do that. And that is a form of surrender, is what that is. The degree to which people will surrender to something that they know is wrong. So we have seen that repeatedly. We're still seeing that repeatedly. Sadly, that's not going to go away either. But what's important about these things that I'm citing here is that we know this now, right? It's not that we can predict it. It's not that we can say, oh, well, people are going to want to please the president. People are going to be afraid, more accurately, of displeasing the president. We now know how this is playing out. We've seen this play out this way over the course of the last year. So as we begin a new year, we need to think about how we respond to that, because it's a fact. And it's more of a fact since the CBS 60 Minutes wrangle, in which there was a story that was going to expose what was going on with people being deported to, these prisons and being in one way or another tortured. And suddenly Bari Weiss, put in charge of CBS, announces that, oops, sorry, we can't do that because in one way or another, some invented way, it's suddenly not appropriate. It's suddenly not good. That was an extreme version of what we've been watching. But the fact that there's resistance to that is also a thing that we are learning actually in the current moment, almost, right? Watching, for example, Canada say, oh, you know what? Well, you might not be able to watch that in the United States, but we've got it up here. You want to see? Or a variety of different kinds of people saying, okay, so CBS won't show this. Here's a way that you can watch it. And fascinatingly, so I was following this, I don't even remember what social media platform, but on one of them. And what I saw was people saying, you can watch it here right now. Do it fast because they might take it away. and then an hour later, it's here now, watch it here, do it now because they might take it away. Two fascinating things there. On the one hand, people fighting back by saying, you're going to see it. We're going to make it so that people can see it. On the other hand, think about that mindset. Look at it now because they are going to take it away because they don't want us to know about this. Think about what that says about where we are, right? They are going to prevent us from knowing this. Like that it makes me think about when I was a kid and I was in, good old Sunday school. And one of the things that we would routinely do is collect funds or goods or different things to send to Jewish people in Russia, right? The Russian Jews had it bad and we were going to help support them. And so as a kid, what I learned is, well, Russia doesn't want the Jews to know anything. They don't want the people to know anything. Russia is a place where like nothing is allowable and you have to find ways in and they take things away. And as a kid, the language and the logic that we're seeing now, they will take it away and we're not allowed to see it, was what we were taught about Russia. And now we are living that in one way or another in the United States. Again, not a brand new, I'm shocked that this is happening, but to be experiencing it. See, Rosie is upset as well. To be experiencing it, to be witnessing it, to be feeling the reality of this and watching people find ways to resist that. Again, not shocking, not new, but on a certain visceral level, kind of shocking. So we learned on the one hand, the ways in which people are kowtowing and bending the knee to these people, the ways in which some people are going to stand up and resist it. And we're watching that play out in real time. So kind of like with the point I just made about federalism, we're watching this evolve and we're watching this develop, and we're in the middle of it. We don't know how that's going to play out next year, but it's important to know and to recognize this phenomenon or these phenomena as they're happening. It's important. So in that sense, they are things that we have learned that we need to learn from as we move forward. Now, a couple other things I want to mention that are less, what do I want to say? More positive in their way that we learned over the course of the last year. And one of them is setting boundaries matters. And it sounds obvious, but I don't think, or at least I would bet many of us here this morning have not experienced, again, the kind of visceral reality of that before living through this last year. And by setting boundaries, I mean boundaries of all kinds. Maybe it's boundaries with how much you allow yourself to doom scroll on a daily basis. Maybe it involves the forms of news that you do or don't beam into, allow yourself to connect with. Maybe it means not having conversations with certain kinds of people who you know are not going to listen to you and who there will not be a free exchange of information. And so maybe that conversation needs to be a boundary that you set for yourself. I think all of us on a personal level have come up with boundaries of various sorts that we need to set for self-preservation, for sanity, for strength, right? Setting a boundary can be a way in which you preserve your strength and your ability to push back. But I think, again, whether we have pointed this out as a lesson learned before this moment, I think all of us in one way or another have learned about setting boundaries, about the importance of setting boundaries. And that's also something going forward. I'm sure we will be challenged on that front and have to come up with more ways to do that. But that's really important. It's important for our sanity and for our emotional health. And it's important because the way to be strong and push forward is to focus on the things that you should be focusing on and cut out the things that are not going to help you move ahead. So setting boundaries, I think the importance of it and the ways in which we personally all need to be doing it and figuring out the way that works for us, I think that's important. I also think, and this one you're not going to be surprised by my saying it, but I'm going to say it because it's true. I think we all discovered, and I was cheering this message on the sideline all year, the degree to which community matters. Community matters. Community matters in ways that I think many of us didn't even anticipate, but it does. And I talk about community a lot because we are a community here and have been. I think this is episode 267. I think I forgot to say that at the beginning, but I believe this is our 267th episode. 68. I'm not sure, but it's up there. Oh no, 290. What am I doing? We're almost at 300. It's 297 or 298. I'm like 297. Thank you, Tim. 297. I'm depriving us of many episodes. At any rate, this is a community because of all of those times we've been here for each other. 297. Now I'm seeing that go 297, 297. Thank you. 297. This is a community, and I talk about community a lot because it matters. But I think, again, in this last year and going forward, we are finding many, many, many ways in which this community and other communities matter. So before I make my segue here into questions, I will say community mattering, finding the ways in which we all individually, personally need to set boundaries. And one that I didn't mention, and it's going to sound frivolous, but it isn't, and that is finding some joy. And I realize all of the things that are happening now that are not joyful at all, and all of the people being victimized by ICE, and all of the ways in which bad things are happening all around us, precisely because that's going on all the time. It's important in our everyday lives to find forms of joy in however and wherever we can. Finding some joy in this moment is a form of resistance. It's a form of strength building, and it matters, as sort of weirdly frivolous as that sounds. So community, boundary setting, and finding some joy, all of these things are acts of protest, in addition to other acts of protest we need to engage in. But they are all acts of protest that I think we hopefully have learned and will continue to learn are important for all of us to engage in and to help others engage in as well. Okay, that's some of what we've learned over the course of the last year. I now, for those of you who are new here, thank you. Yes, someone has just said that's the way we overcome together. It is. Those are all ways in which we overcome together. So the mug that I have, those of you who are new here, for all of the weeks that we've been here, most of them at least, I have a mug that is thematically connected to, sometimes in a direct way and sometimes really it's a stretch, to what we're talking about here. But I think this one actually directly connects, the mug that I'm using for today's theme. And I'll show it and then I'll read it. Okay, so it says history. What it says is history, noun, a record of the triumphant, terrible, and ceaselessly astounding stories throughout time. And I think that's kind of a good summing up of this last year. So that actually seems like the appropriate mug for today's discussion.
Is that the one with the QR code on the back that has whatever? Yeah. So I sent you that one. That's one I sent when you got your new, that's your housewarming gift when you got your new place.
Oh, thank you, Eddie.
I love that mug. Yeah.
I love it too. I believe that it talks about the beginning of Kwanzaa.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Today, that would make sense. Yep.
Today.
Either that or Boxing Day. Yeah. That's so cool.
So thank you. Yes. I in the same way that I forget the number episode, I forget where all the mugs came from. So thank you very much.
That one I know because I got myself one too because I just thought it was so cool with the QR code. You know what a little tech nerd I am.
It is. Very
okay. So guys, I am looking for the capital letter Q, 3QQQ, and then questions. That's what we're going with for now. We haven't quite figured out the Q&A yet, but hey, I got chat connected to the same device. So each week we're getting better at this. All right. So let's see what we have got here. So Dave, our good buddy Dave says, have we learned that quaint norms like the emoluments clause in the Constitution are all too easy to ignore? What stops or slows down, move fast, and breaks things like Doge?
Right. Which is a really good question. And I would say that is a thing I would say we learned before this year, because the first administration for Trump was also great at norm violating. But it certainly, Trump in power teaches us or highlights for us or reveals to us ways in which things are norms, meaning there's no explicit thing backing them up other than the fact that that's the way we've always done them. Right? So a norm is often based on a sensibility about rules and laws, although it's not necessarily an absolute law, based on a sensibility about decency and empathy, based on a commitment to democracy and popular rule. Norms, political norms, are grounded on all of these things. And what we see again and again and again and again is their violation in one way or another. Slapping at democracy, slapping at empathy, slapping at all of the things that I just named, directly, often deliberately violating all those things. So certainly, we continue to learn the ways in which norms have very little backing them up except a shared commitment to them because we believe in what they stand for. And when you have an administration that does not believe in what they stand for, then there's very little holding them up. I think in the future, whenever we end up having this regime out of power, I would bet that there are some things that we've seen as norms that are going to get a little more oomph in them because we did not in the past see them violated as consistently, as sweepingly, and as aggressively as we have seen them when Trump is president. But yeah, that is an ongoing issue that we continue to see. And every time a norm is violated, there's almost like an aha, like, oh yeah, that was just an unwritten agreement that we had. That's actually the only reason we did that, is because, gosh, we all had an unwritten commitment in some way or another to some form of representative government, for example. You name the thing, norms are largely at least grounded on them. So, break, grab, take, we see that in action constantly. What we need, and particularly this second Trump regime, and what we need to learn, and this goes back, federalism is part of the answer. What we need to sort of figure out on an ongoing basis is how we respond to that. And I want to say, because I just said we, the magical word we, and who was it? Was it Christy Nome who said that we in the United States, we share a nation and we share a savior? And my response to that was, well, my we is bigger than that because it goes beyond Christians. Mm-hmm. My we includes everybody.
We the
people. people. So, again, in the same way, like in a sense, you could say that's a norm that was violated right there, right? That somehow that instantly made me not a part of the we. I'm not Christian. So I guess I'm not part of the American we. That's not new that people have made that kind of pronouncement. People in power in an administration making that kind of a pronouncement feels rather extreme. Speaking as someone Jewish, pretty much my whole life, people have been saying in one way or another in various corners that I don't count, I'm not in, I'm whatever, me and my kind. To see it come in that way was, I don't want to say shocking, but unpleasant. But again, there you go. I see that happen and I think, okay, well, there's a thing that is a violated norm and that we need to call out and that we need to yell about and that we need to point to. And so that's part of the answer to the question. When these norms are violated, we need to say so because that can be invisible, right? If no one said anything about that, it would just exist there as A-okay. No one has a problem with it. You need to call these violated norms out because only by doing that do you actually emphasize and focus on the fact that it's a norm. Violating norms can be frighteningly invisible if you don't point them out. Again, that one, and I would think particularly if you happen to be Christian, might not seem weird at all. Might just seem like seasonal. But it's not a big enough we for the United States. It's a limited we. We're bigger than that in every way that statement makes sense. So part of the answer, if not answer, but part of my response to this question about violated norms is it's really important to call them out loudly a lot, because we don't want to normalize that kind of thing, right? We don't want that to be the norm. We want that to be obvious as the violation of one. And that partly requires all of us to respond to it in one way or another. Okay.
Yeah. And Clinton, our longtime friend Clinton, who's been with us, I think, for almost all of those 297 episodes, says he just wants to remind people that some of us have been understanding and fighting against things that other people are now finding new. And that's very true. People who've been fighting for decades, this is not a new fight for them. And it's here we are still having to fight for those things. All right. So let's look for some more cues here. A lot of chat. It's harder to do it this way. We got to figure out the Q&A thing. So
I know we have to get better at the Q&A thing.
I know there's got to be a way to do it, but we figured out the chat.
That's precisely Sharon saying that the statement was more shocking because it was from a government website. That's what I mean. Coming from where it came from. It literally said to me, I am not part of, according to that person, I'm not part of the American we.
Okay. I got another one. This is from Healthy Kids Info.
Okay.
These new names are also like, I'm trying to figure out who it is.
People have been coming for hundreds of episodes.
I started a spreadsheet and put it in the Slack group. Like if you want to say what your Zoom name was and what your YouTube name is, so we can try and figure out, but I don't know if anybody saw it. I'll post it again. Okay, so Healthy Kids Info asks, how can we prioritize getting people, especially children, out of detention and helping families find their missing family members?
Well, there's a question that I wish I had a instant answer to, which I don't. I do think, and this is going to sound like an easy answer, but it's another way in which we can't shut up about it, that we have to be loud in massive groups, excuse me, about things like that. Because otherwise the risk is that they drift to the sidelines and we stop thinking about them. And those are broken families that have been deliberately broken and they're being kept apart. And we can't stop pointing that out. We can't stop talking about it. We need at least some members of Congress to keep trying to break into those hidden places where people are being like literally hidden and kept apart. I don't have the immediate solution to that, but I know that part of the solution is not letting that go unspoken about, unprotested, about calling out these violations of democracy, of humanity, of empathy. They're violations of all of that. And we all know that. And even they know that, right? We all know that. And so we need to call them out. Not that people don't know that it's abnormal. They know. But only by calling them out do we advertise that fact and make people think about how they're going to respond to that, right? It's very easy, or at least for some people, it's very easy to just not respond, to just, maybe set boundaries in a way that is a little dangerous. My boundary is I'm not going to take in any of this unpleasant news and I'm just not going to respond to it. And it's happening to other people. Not so useful a boundary overall. And so, we, and I mean that in the largest meaning of we possible, need to consistently call it out loudly. And we have seen in a variety of ways over this last year and in the first Trump regime as well, that when enough people do that, there's backpedaling. There has been. So on the one hand, I understand how it feels supremely unsatisfying to say, like, we need to call it out. It's like, yeah, great, but we're in an ongoing war against normalizing the abnormal. We're in an ongoing war against allowing violations of democracy, humanity, and empathy being normalized. They're not normal. And we need to highlight that, point that out, and say it over and over and over again, so that the fact that these things are out there doesn't mean that people accept them as the way things are. They're the way things happen to be right now, given the people who have power. And that's what they are. They are not the way things are supposed to be. They are not the way things normally are. They are certainly not the way that we want things to be going forward. And so we need to, among the many ways in which we need to resist, that's one, is to keep calling it out.
Okay, Jay Young asks, what would Hamilton advise us to do in this moment?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a question.
Yeah.
An interesting question. Because on the one hand, Hamilton was Mr. We need to protect the federal government. We need to protect the national government. It needs to be strong. It needs to be stronger than the state governments. We can't allow people to protest against or defy the national government, the federal government. He was also a guy who wanted the national government to be even stronger than it was. And he was a guy who didn't necessarily trust democracy on the one hand. On the other hand, he was a revolutionary who very much believed in stepping forward when things were being done that were unjust, that were, I don't want to say unconstitutional because we're talking about the British and that becomes complicated. He certainly, as a revolutionary, thought that when things were being done that fundamentally violated rights, and again, he had his own definition of rights, but still will allow this to stand for him, that there should be resistance. That, again, he was a guy who during the revolution was speaking out a lot. And even during the debate over the Constitution, Mr. Federalist essays, he was that guy too. So he probably, given that he was like a little bit of a troublemaker and he liked force more than he should have, he might have suggested some things that many of us would not be comfortable with. But some part of him, given that he would see some fundamental violations in what's going on right now that were fundamentally not even acting in the spirit of the Constitution, but just dismissing the Constitution entirely, he wouldn't be really a fan of that. So he would want resistance, but he would want resistance not in what he would see as crazy, unruly ways. He's a complicated character. It's part of why I like studying him, is because he's hard to figure out, and he's not comfortably a fan of democracy. And so I like figuring out a troubled individual in that way. So, but I think it would be a mix. But I don't think he'd be a fan of people just basically tap dancing all over not tap dancing, trouncing the Constitution. He was for broad construction of the Constitution, not for just dismissing it entirely.
Yeah. Okay. A couple of different people have asked different versions of this, so I'm kind of combining three, but the gist of it is there a legal or legit way for states to withhold taxes as a way to not support the cruelty and the corruption?
I think about that and sort of anticipate seeing that. But I don't know, right? I mean, not necessarily, and maybe in resisting corruption, what I more think about that in terms of is if the federal government says to certain blue states, well, you're doing X, so you're not going to get funding. It is an interesting thing to consider what happens if that state says, oh, you're not going to give us funding. We're not going to give you funding in the form of taxes. I have no idea. I don't know how that plays out. But getting back to what I said about federalism and the ways in which we're going to see state versus national government playing out in all kinds of weird ways, that's one that will be interesting to see. California, which gives so much money to the nation as a whole, what happens if California says, oh, you're not going to fund X, Y, and Z for us? What if we temporarily don't give you our tax money? I don't know. I don't know what happens. I don't know if it will happen. But given all of the unorthodox ways in which we're seeing states respond to a national government that is just trouncing on democracy and the Constitution, it could happen. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. Dave asks thoughts on the 6-3 SCOTUS about the National Guard. Is that a big deal that they might rein in the president?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, you know, I mean, we're at a moment where all three branches of government are behaving strangely in their own way, right? The presidency, the executive branch is like assuming it can do whatever the heck it wants to do, and that it really doesn't need, for example, Congress to do anything. Congress, or at least many in Congress, are acting as though they don't have the power to do anything, and they seem to be ceding their power and authority to the executive branch. The Supreme Court, in so many ways, has been seemingly ceding away, you know, power again to the executive branch, to the president. Anything that any branch of government that is not the executive branch does that is active resistance to what this regime is trying to do, yeah, that matters. And particularly the Supreme Court, where you know, you can begin to count heads and decide what way they're going to go on decisions. If they don't go a predictable way on a decision, particularly a decision that involves giving power to the president, yeah, that actually matters. In the long term, how that matters, does that represent a larger pattern or not? We don't know yet. But yeah, I would say any branch of government that stands up to the executive and says, well, you think you can do that, but actually you can't. At this moment in time, when the Trump regime thinks it can do anything it darn well wants to, and there are people that are basically saying, yep, you can do that. It is important, particularly that branches of government stand up occasionally, more than occasionally, hopefully, and say, no, you can't. Just as in the same way that I said earlier, that going out and protesting in the street may not have an instant response, but having that happen shows people that things aren't a done deal, that there are people who are pushing back. That can matter in the same way too.
All right, let's see what else we've got here. Okay, there's another one about the taxes, so we've already answered that one. Oh, okay. MK Stuff asks, what did they, in quotes, what did they learn from us this year? Ooh.
What did they learn from
Good
us?
one. Turn the question around on you.
Yeah.
Like
well, I think among other things, they learned that people resist. They learned that some people value democracy, that they actually know what it is. They learned that they can't just do what they want all the time, because they clearly thought that they could. They also clearly have assumed that they can make any lie and make any pronouncement, and that everybody will just nod and say yes. And they can keep trying, but it's not as though they're not going to be pointed out as lying. And people are now finally using the L word. For so long in the first Trump administration, people were not willing to say that what he was doing was lying. Like, well, I don't know, you know, maybe he doesn't believe it, or he believes it, but maybe no, they're lies. Right? They're lies. It's not hard. They're lies. And more often than not, maybe sometimes born of ignorance, but more often than not, born of what he wants to be true and what he wants to say and what he wants, period. And lie is a word that has impact, right? Lie, and I've talked about this just recently in some format, and it might have even been here, I don't remember, but lie is one of those words that you didn't want to toss around in the 18th century because it would get you sent to a dueling ground. It was one of the most horrible things you could say about a person. They were a liar. And for so long, first Trump regime, they would say, you know, misstatement, exaggeration, misleading. Right. You know, whatever it was, they would not use the L word. It was driving me bonkers. And now we actually have people saying lie. As minor as that sounds, that actually in and of itself is a form of resistance that I applaud.
Yeah. Okay.
I have to ask, I just see something floating around here. Every book I've read on him, I'm guessing Hamilton, says he never participated. Chernow's book makes this point emphatically, but so do the others. So what are we talking about there? Because it's a Hamilton statement, and now I'm curious.
I don't know.
if someone wants to put that in chat, I would be curious. I said it on Saturday with Heather. Thank you. I know I said it recently. That is where I said it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are we ready for next one?
Okay.
Okay. Bookham Dano is, I giggle every time I see that name. Is there a way to reform the pardon process to stop the current abuses?
Is there a way to employ the pardon process?
To reform it.
Oh, to reform it. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
abusing and just willy-nilly partying like drug dealers and January 6 people. And
yes, I would say, are there things that need to be reformed once we have gotten somewhere beyond this point? Yeah. And so there's a way in which violated norms become future ways in which we need to actually do something concrete. So more things that we learn ways in which norms can be misused and abused and taken advantage of. And then there needs to be some more teeth put in to prevent that from being abused and misused the same way. Yeah.
All right. This one is Great Seeker, I think. These new names on YouTube are hard to figure out. It says, how do we make sure the people we put in power actually do uphold the oath in the future? Should we have an easier way to get rid of them if they don't?
Interesting. Well, one of the things that we learned in the semi-recent past is impeachment should be and is a real thing. And the fact that during the Trump impeachments that I was being asked to go on a variety of different TV shows and say that I actually was asked to say this on MSNBC, that impeachment was constitutional. I think it was Brian Williams said Professor Freeman. He was smiling when he said it, but he said, Professor Freeman, is impeachment constitutional? It's like, yeah, it is, because it's in the Constitution. So the ways in which some of the ways in which we are supposed to be able to respond to things that are going on now, and that people dismiss them as being too political, right? So some people said, you can't really impeach people. It's too political. It's partisan. You shouldn't be able to do it. Well, no, actually. So if someone actually carries out an impeachable offense, you go through the process to see if it was something was done that is an impeachable offense, and then you actually seriously consider impeachment. You don't dismiss it because it seems partisan, meaning it acts against the people who you like, and thus it can't happen. So, I mean, do there need to be ways in which all of these things are reformed and made more powerful? Yes, but there are also ways that are already built in that we can address some of this, and that people have chosen with Trump not to, more than once, which in its own way was shocking and profoundly disheartening when that happened, and continues to be, because anytime someone brings up impeachment now, people are like, oh no, well, we can't really do that. It's like, why do you think it's actually in the Constitution? And it shouldn't be willy-nilly tossed around, but it's there for a reason. And there's a process involved with it. And thus, in that process, people might decide it's not valid, but it can't be dismissed as something that shouldn't be done because it seems partisan. Sometimes people on your side commit crimes. And if they do, and people find that they have indeed committed a crime, then impeachment is a way in which you deal with that, right? You can't say that people on my side are never wrong and thus cannot be impeached. There's a logic floating around that somehow, things that are crimes aren't crimes if they're coming from our side. That's bonkers. I mean, that's actually bonkers. But people in their desperation to claim power, want power, keep power, deny power, are making some pretty bonkers claims on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, historians are going to have a field day in 2030.
Oh, holy smoke, man. I think about that all the time. Like 20, 30, 40 years from now. And it doesn't have to be American historians even. It could be any historian anywhere. We'll have an amazing time. And they will be, particularly people who aren't going through this now as a living experience, their jaws will be on the ground. They will see some of what is going on and some of what people say, and they will be dumbfounded that some of the things that happened.
Okay, it is a little bit after 11. We've still got tons of questions, so
okay, let's do one more, and then we're going to have to find a way to save them.
Well, the chat stays up on YouTube, I think, is one thing.
Okay.
I'm not remember to save the liver anymore.
Okay, no, I guess that's true. I'm on StreamYard, so I don't know what's happening on YouTube, but okay.
Yep, well, I've got the chat up. I've figured out how to connect it this week. That was my big accomplishment of the week. Okay, so our longtime friend Jen Defoe asks, the Emoluments Clause isn't a norm, it's a constitutional provision. The problem is where the Republicans in Congress are refusing to uphold the law that's clearly being broken. So she's curious about your thoughts on that.
Right. That goes back to, in a sense, what I just said, is that if my side is doing it, then it's not a crime. Right. And the Emoluments Clause, clause, because it's in the Constitution. We see all the time the Constitution being explicitly violated, things being done that are very obviously criminal. The denial of due process, folks. Just the fact that you shouldn't really, for example, be able to murder people on the open sea at will. We're seeing all the time remarkable crimes being committed and nothing necessarily really happening in response. That, on the one hand goes into the realm of really, like, that is now normal. It is not normal to murder people on the open sea, right? It really isn't. And we shouldn't stop calling that out. So yeah, it has to do, it's one thing to have the Constitution, and it's one thing to have the rule of law, and it's another thing to have enforcement. And we are living at a time when enforcement is not really being followed through on in many ways, and particularly when it has anything to do with this regime and what they want, with those who have power doing whatever they can to keep power and get as much as they can from power. And that's the moment that we're in. So a lot of the questions had to do with this. And I think that this is true, that in the future, we're going to have reform and revision to a variety of things that we didn't think of that way before, because we've watched them over the course of this last year and the first Trump regime violate laws and break laws and do things that are seemingly unacceptable and unbelievable. And there's no response. I again, will not predict the ways in which we will be responding to these things, but there's going to have to be a response more than down the road, us pointing things out, yelling them out, shouting them out. There will have to be a response. What that will be and how that will happen, I cannot tell you.
Yeah. All right. I know there's more questions, but it's also 6 after 11.
Yeah.
So what do we want to do?
Okay. So hopefully people have been saying in chat that the questions will be saved. The questions won't be saved. I have no idea. Enforcement, yes, I was going to say enforcement. Someone is saying, Linda saying enforcement is the problem. I guess I will say that now we should go to the after party. The question is, how will we do the after party? That is the question. So normally what happens around now, and what we could do, they will not be saved. Okay, well, we will see what happens. People are very firm about this. Normally we go to NCHE for the after party. Because NCHE, we can have the after party and talk to each other, and it does not get recorded. Anything we do here will be recorded, but maybe for today, well, you guys can tell me what you're comfortable with. But one possibility is we do this today, and then I go afterwards and actually do, like, cut off anything. Does that seem like a good for today way to go?
I think for today we can do that. You and I can talk offline and figure out the Q&A box. And, if we want to try and use a Yale or a U of R Zoom account in the future, figure it out.
Okay. Yeah.
And if people don't feel comfortable, they just don't have to comment.
Yeah.
If they
I
know
mean, so
that
let me explain what happens now and what normally happens now and what we will do now in one form or another. That's right, edit and post. I do want to thank you guys all for being here as we figure out this transition. I would say that given that we're just beginning to do this new version, we're doing pretty okay, except for the weird little, hiccups. We are doing okay, but we will figure it all out in the very near future, bit by bit, piece by piece. What we will be doing now is going to the after party. What that means is that we can talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about. And normally we don't record it so that people can actually talk about whatever they want to talk about. For today, we will be starting momentarily the after party, but I'm going to have to go back later today and cut out everything past. Thank you, Karen. We are doing pretty okay. Anything past when I say poof, we're at the after party, which I have not said yet. So at any rate, that will be what we'll do today. But what it means is, we can talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about from this point on, and it doesn't have to be on topic, and people can just talk about their holiday or whatever else, or ask questions that are more personal or something, whatever. We can talk about whatever we want. That is the after party. Before we go to the after party, however, I do want to say thank you to Annie for being here, particularly on her birthday. I want to say thank you to, that was pre-poof, Dave. I want to say thank you to all of you who are here and have been here and continue to be here in the History Matters community, which is a community and will continue to be one. And we just have to figure out the little tweaks in the process. But I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank you for being here the day after Christmas, which I actually did not know how many people were going to come and show up at this time. So I appreciate you all being here. And I guess, and I want to thank you actually also for taking part in the ongoing conversation of democracy on a Friday morning, which is what we all do. Okay, so I guess I will, when I say poof, which I will in a moment, that will be the official beginning of the after party, and beyond the poof, I will then go back and bring the cutter and cut it off. But okay, folks, so now we can actually officially go to the after party, because I'm going to say poof, we're in the after party. Okay, we will figure this out. In the after party, though, I can definitely say again, happy birthday to Annie. Beyond the poof is, we're good at band names.
We are. And my family is now, I'm doing that with my family. I mean, I've always done that band name shtick for years with my classes and the kids I taught, but we came up with a couple the other night. I can't think what we were watching. And we were like, that'd be a good band name.
Well, we have somewhere a list, don't we?
Well, Claire was keeping one. I don't know how up to date it is, but for a while, yes, Claire had kept a good list for us. So, and for those of you who don't know Claire, is an employee and a dear friend of ours that used to be our behind the scenes tech support for this show at National Council for History Ed. So Joanne and I are trying to figure out in a post Claire world how we do that.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I hope that people did something nice for themselves on Christmas Day or on Hanukkah. I ordered for Christmas Eve, since I was here. Normally I go to the West Coast to visit my family, and I travel on the 24th. And this year I'm not going out until next week. So Christmas Eve, I was like, I'm going to order food in and treat myself to something. And I ordered Georgian food, not the state, but the country. Georgian food was really good. Like really, really good. So I was, and not only that, I ordered too much, so that I have like at least 2 more dinners.
Yeah.
So it's good. So that was my treat.
I don't know if I've ever had Jordan food.
Okay. So James, you put it there, so I have to say it. James said I spent all Christmas with no pants on, and it was wonderful. I totally get that. Right. I get that, because I like wearing leggings to me is the equivalent of like not putting real pants on. And I can understand that. So I just love the way that it looks there in print, but I totally get it. right?
Yeah. Full disclosure, I'm often wearing pajama bottoms like I am now when we do these shows, and I put a decent blouse on. And, you know, when you work from home, that's what we do in Zoom land.
Deb has a question that says, Joanne and all the other academic historians on here, are you ever walking through this strange life right now and think of dissertation topics? Oh my God, all the time. I'm constantly thinking of dissertation topics, constantly. And thinking not only about dissertation topics, but about the best sources for them, right? I'll be like, oh, there's a source base for a dissertation. So yeah, how can one not? Examples of Georgian food. I don't know the words for them, but what did I get? I got some kind of amazing eggplant salad thing. There's a lot of pomegranate seeds being thrown on things. There's a lot of garlic being mixed in. When I open my refrigerator now, it smells like garlic. There's a lot of bread and cheese things, but I don't know. You're going to have to look up because the words are in a language that I do not know. So I'm going to slaughter them horribly if I try to say them. I got some sort of dumpling-like things like kinseki, that are wonderful and juicy, but I'm not going to do them justice because I only discovered Georgian food like 2 days ago. Really, really good. Bookham Dano has to go. So we appreciate your being here for many reasons. One of them being your handle, because it is very good.
Yep. And Mila was saying she could save the questions for us. So we have a Slack group, and if you're a person that's wanting to keep in touch during the week with this community, you can email me. I just need to know your email address. I put my email there in the chat. And if you just say, I want to be added to the Slack channel and send me your name, I'll do my best to add you. And that's my family's landline, so I can't turn that one off. That one's mine. Okay. I have no idea where it's coming from, but I didn't even realize they still had a landline. That's kind of funny. Sorry, apologize, guys.
No, that's like a blast.
And then my sister was calling me to say happy birthday earlier. I thought I'd turned the volume down, so hopefully somebody will grab that landline soon. It's been ringing off the hook.
Yeah,
Oh, Yorkshire pudding. Oh, Nana's. It says, Nana so dear. I am super jealous that you're having Yorkshire pudding.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever had roast beef and Yorkshire pudding, Joanne? It's a British thing. We used to always have it on Christmas.
I did when I was in England, and it's really, really good.
So my grandmother was from British, and so a lot of the food that we eat, like plum pudding around Christmas time, was things that her family brought from England. I am so jealous right now that you said that. When I went to England, I looked everywhere for Yorkshire pudding, and we found it in the Lake District, and it was so good.
It's really yummy, I will say.
Really, really yummy.
So I'm trying to catch up with the chatting here.
Yeah, some people are still trying. So I did put the spreadsheet link in the chat. We're trying to match up your names so people can figure out who everybody is.
Good.
So if that's at all helpful, you just put in what was your Zoom name and what is your YouTube name, and then hopefully people can figure out who everybody is.
I'm trying to. Did Daft really get stuck in the tub?
What a random question.
I know. I don't know where that came from. Okay, here's a random Daft thing. So my apartment in New Haven is near-ish to a home where Taft used to visit when he was in town, that supposedly has a really big bathtub, a Taft-sized bathtub, I have been told. So I actually have a Taft bathtub anecdote, but I cannot tell you.
Of course you do.
I know, I do. I do not know.
You would have that.
I do. I do not know if he actually got stuck in the tub. There you go, Kinkali. There you go. That's what it was called. Really, anyway, the whole thing was really good. I was going to pick up my phone and find what I ordered, and then I realized that someone was leaving me a voicemail. So I put the phone down. Anyway, it was really, really, really good. A Taft tub. So anyway, I'm trying to think what else is new and exciting here. Not that much. My big excitement for the day is I'm going to get my eyes checked.
Oh,
which I should have done a
Are
year
you
ago.
gonna get new specs?
I'm gonna keep these frames because I love them. But I need new lenses. I just do. Now, why are we talking mammoth cheese? As much as I love the mammoth cheese,
we talk mammoth cheese about every 3 weeks here.
And I'm guessing there might be some folks who do not know what the mammoth cheese is. I can do it in like 2 sentences. Is that when Thomas Jefferson became president, and he was, sort of seen as a man of the people kind of president, was cheddar, I believe. And some people in Massachusetts made mammoth cheese, 1,200 pound, I think 6 feet across wheel of cheese. And thank you, Liz, because I know you like talking about it. You were my friend, Liz. I do. It is one of my favorite goofy history things. And the Federalists made fun of Jefferson by calling him the mammoth president because he believed that there were woolly mammoths wandering around out west. And so the Federalists were trying to make fun of him. And people who liked Jefferson said, oh, yeah, this is always the best way to like deal with someone insulting you. You own the insult. They're like, he is the mammoth president. And they began making him like mammoth bread and mammoth pipes and mammoth cheese. So he was given a mammoth cheese not long after he became president, which he would pull out every year so that people could see, and occasionally serve pieces at dinner years after he got it, at which point, as one Federalist put it, quote, it was far from being very good. I love the mammoth cheese. I love everything about the mammoth cheese. And so thank you, Liz, for giving me the moment, my moment to enjoy the mammoth cheese just on the cusp of the new year.
Yeah. And I don't know if Cece's still here. I think I saw her in the chat earlier, but Cece once, remember, she gave us a live tour of the mammoth cheese. And yes, shout out to Cheshire, Mass. That's where the mammoth cheese comes out in the summer. And there's a man who keeps it in his garage the rest of the year, and he puts it out.
Cheshire, it was true. Cheshire, Massachusetts.
Yep.
I got to give you credit.
Yep. And I put a link in the chat on the Monticello website. They have the story about the mammoth cheese. I also put that link in there. But Cece did the tour for Carolee's class, I believe, and she recorded it. And then we made her do it live one week.
The cheese is put away for winter.
Yeah. I think it's weird that they put it out in the summer. I would think it would get gross, but he only puts it out in the summer.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We don't want Trump to know there was a mammoth cheese given to some other president. He'll
need a bigger cheese.
He'll need a bigger cheese. Nolina says, I no longer know who Cece is.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping people will put your names in the spreadsheet and we can figure out who everybody is.
We gotta decode the handles for people.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. It's not a Virginia summer. Oh, well, that's true. It's not a Virginia summer, so that would make a difference.
That's true. It's not as hot and humid, but
yeah.
So
hello, Rosie. Hi.
Rosie's been quite vocal this morning.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, we love it.
So next week, I hadn't thought about it till this moment. I will do next week, but I will be in California. So I will be it'll be early for me. But I'll be doing it from my friend's house in California.
Okay.
So, there's a remote chance I'll be on PBS too, but I don't know.
Oh, like where on PBS can we find it? Do you know?
NewsHour.
Okay.
They're doing something on January 6th. And they're interviewing a bunch of people and then deciding what way they want the story to go. So I got interviewed as they're deciding what they want the story to be, but I have no idea if I will be ultimately invited, but that might happen. So indeed. Yes, Rosie, people want to hear from you, Bird. They do. She's just like
inquiring minds want to know, Rosie.
She is. I will keep you posted. Yes, West Coast Joanne. I will be in California, and then I will be in Seattle. Yeah. No, so that'll be, like I said, it'll be good, and hopefully all of the snow and everything else will have passed by then. I'm going to visit first my closest friend who I met my freshman year in college. And And so we tend to spend New Year's Eve together. And this year, because I didn't go out this week, I went out next week. Normally I visit my parents first, my mother, and then my friend. And now I'm going to do the reverse this coming year. So, and apparently we are going to see cranes. There's someplace you can go in California with a massive bunch of cranes that sunrise and sunset go. Anyway, I'm going to see birds.
Yeah. We have to send pictures.
I will. I totally will.
Yes, we can see them.
Excited to go and see them. So,
Robin says she has a Taft tub.
A podium tub. Okay.
I've never heard of a podium tub. That's interesting.
Isn't it on? Does that mean on
like a big white bathtub that has the big, like, ceramic base that's kind of like you see in old movies? Is that what a podium tub is?
Yeah, I don't know what a podium tub is.
I've never heard it called that before.
Rosie, it's true. Rosie should be on Blue Sky. Rosie doesn't have her own. Rosie got blended in with Newbie. That's the only way in which I occasionally still use Twitter, is that Newbie had an account there, and there are thousands of people who love Newbie, and I couldn't take that away. So it became the Newbie Rosie account, but I'm still barely there. But it's true. Rosie does not yet have an online persona. See, Newbie became the history bird.
Yeah.
And Rosie needs to decide who she wants to be online. And then, yeah, she should be there too.
They're calling her Rosie the Resistance Bird.
Well, she is Rosie the Resistance Bird. She's also Rosie the Peep.
Yeah.
But that's her mobster name. It is. That's
Rosie's doing a remake of The Sopranos, an all bird edition.
That is her mobster name, because Rosie the Peep. So, because she's like, she's a tough guy, burb. Rosie Murch, you never know. There might be. There's someone who has a daughter named Rosie who chirps a lot too. Wait, a sedge? I'm guessing it's not an adhering of cranes, but a gathering of cranes is called a sedge. Is that what?
I don't know.
I do not know. Oh, there we go. The cranes have been arriving for the last 2 weeks. Anyway, we're driving somewhere and staying in a hotel so that we can see cranes.
Oh, cool.
There should be, I guess, a Rosie the Resistance bird something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, we are no longer. We love NCHE forever, but we are no longer formally with NCHE. So if there was going to be Rosie merch, there would have to be another way to do it, and that money would have to go to some charitable history organization. So this may be the longest outro in. Well, this is the after party.
The after party, right?
Which will then get zapped. We've done it once or twice before and early on, and I didn't initially zap it because people were like, "Oh, that's what the after party is," and then I felt bad taking it away because people didn't know what it was. But now I will do it. I'm also afraid because, and I'll be very careful about it. The first time I tried to erase the after party, I mistakenly erased the episode, and then it took me hours to figure out how to get it back and how to. So I will be careful. So, Pax, thank you. I will, bird is the word. I will always happily go visit birds. So here's a thing I was thinking about actually yesterday. So I'm on leave this coming semester, and I'm thinking my bucket list, one of the things on my bucket list towards the top, I want to go to Australia and New Zealand and see wild cockatiels and budgies. Like that's, and part of me is like, should I do that? Like in the,
you will love it. That trip I took, what was that? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we saw not just budgies, but so many amazing birds, koalas.
I might do that for myself. I'm not sure.
Everybody should go there once in their lifetime. It's just such a unique landscape, so beautiful.
I wanted to, and particularly for that reason. So anyway, yesterday I actually did think about maybe if I can save the money so that it isn't scary. Maybe that's something that I should do. Tim wants to know if Rosie got good millet for the holiday. Of course she did.
Of
course she did.
I wouldn't skimp on cheesy.
I know a new order of the good millet, which I order like 5 pounds or 10 pounds at a time or something. It comes in like this big. So yeah, she's got a lot of the good millet now, and I gave her.
Sorry.
That's the landline again. I gave her a new toy, which she is ignoring. So it's been a long time since I've heard.
Where do you go to get the millet? You just go to a butcher, or who's your millet guy?
There are some millet places around, and there's one in New Hampshire I sometimes buy from. There's one brand of millet that's like the best, and so I hunt around to find who's selling the because this is Rosie, and the same thing with newbie. Like I got to find the good millet, like not just any millet, but the good millet. A shoebill stork I have never seen for real, but I would be amazed to see one. Right. Cockatoos, but cockatiels. I don't know if it's the cockatoos are pests or the cockatiels are pests or both, maybe. Anyway. Yes, I just seeing birds. If I can, why not? Because it's really expensive. Other than that, I would be going, but I think.
Well, I went for a family wedding, and so I saved up. Like I knew it was coming, so I saved up for like 2 years.
Right. So this is what I want to do.
But it's definitely worth going.
Is there a question that was supposed to be asked of me? I'm trying to catch up on the chat, peeps.
Yeah, it goes by so fast.
It does go by very fast. See, the thing about doing the after party through Yale is I don't really think I should be doing any of this through Yale. Just because I don't want there to be any issues. Not that I would assume there would be, but it just seems to me the safest thing to do is to not connect this with another institution of any kind for no particular reason other than that just is my sort of default. Someone is asking to have you, I guess, Annie, repost the link for people's handles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think staying independent, my fear is that linking with any institution in some way or another is going to make me question what I'm allowed to say. And I don't want that to be the case. And yes, don't connect to where I get my money. Exactly. So I don't think, no, when I call you peeps, is that a bird pun? It's not meant to be. It's like people, my peeps. But I guess I think of it more quickly because it is peep. And yeah, so it's probably a mix. At any rate, look, you guys are already giving me like clues about flying to Australia and New Zealand. Anyway, so that yesterday for some reason that came up. You are my flock. We are each other's flock. So yeah. So that came up, and again, because I'm on leave, and there's like stuff that's going to be going on during the leave. So anyway. Free personal Zoom room gives you 40 minutes. Oh.
Yeah, you can do a free Zoom account for 40 minutes. You could try that.
I could. Peeps. Here's Peeps and considers a nod to the Hamilcast. I was on the Hamilcast. I know. I was on there a long time ago, and it was fun. I love the fact that it exists. I think it's ending, the Hamilcast.
Oh. They still have that great Gilder Lehrman Hamilton education program.
Yeah.
Where kids can meet with cast members in the traveling, and then they get tickets to go see wherever it's playing around the country. I think Charlie's class got to go see it in California.
Yeah, very cool. Is there a name for a group of historians? A query of historians.
Cute.
That is very cute. It may be query. Maybe. Big and colorful. Maybe it wasn't a cockatoo, although there are pink cockatoos and black cockatoos in addition to the white cockatoos. Yeah, the final episode of the Hamilcast is coming. I know, because I got I got an email about the fact that they're going to be ending soon. The 45-minute thing is only for 2 people for free. Anyway, I will continue to investigate and try and figure out what we will do for next week. Which, like I said, I'll be in California, and maybe well, we'll see. I'll see if I can find other people who might be able to tell me precisely what the best way to do this is, other than making me figure out, which I will, how to cut the last half hour or so out of here. Yeah, cockatoos can be many different colors. Yeah, the problem with free Zoom is that probably you can't have 300 people on it. So, which is where we are roughly right now. Okay, I guess it's 3 after. We should probably end so that I can have lunch before I go and get my eyes checked. So a stack of historians, stacks of historians. I assume, I don't know, I haven't talked to Heather, but I kind of assume she and I will be doing our thing tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, 10:30-ish. I have not contacted her to find that out for sure, but generally speaking, we're doing that. I know she has family over, so she may or may not be free. I don't know. But at any rate, everybody, I'm glad to have gotten to talk to you just after Christmas. And I will be talking to you just after New Year's as well. I will say this towards the end of this year, I am so grateful for you guys. I truly am. Thank you for being here and continuing to be here. And I will see you in a week. Be safe. If it's snowing or icing, then maybe stay home. And tomorrow morning, I think with Heather, I assume I have to check in with her, but we're getting pretty good at just being regular. Anyway, thank you guys. And to people like, and tomorrow. Yes. I just meant this community I will see in a week, but I will be tomorrow morning, one way or another. I will be there. I assume with Heather, one way or another, and Rosie will be too.
Have a good New Year. If anybody's celebrating, be safe and have fun.
Safe, be healthy, do something nice for yourself, whatever that means. And see you in one way or another tomorrow and a week from now.
People are asking how to get into Slack. I'm putting my email in the chat one more time.
Okay.
Just email me your first and last name and the email you want to use, and I'll add you to Slack.
There you go.
Okay.
So I'm not closing us down yet so that everybody can see.
Yep.
There you go. Peep for sure. Jim says, no pants in 2026.
I am wearing Christmas pajamas, just full disclosure.
I got leggings on.
Yeah, and most Fridays, full disclosure, I'm usually wearing pajamas.
No slacks. My mother always called them slacks.
My grandma called them slacks.
Slacks.
Yeah.
At any rate, everybody, be safe, be happy, and I will see you soon.
Happy New Year.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.